People are screaming about this internal report and what's going on with that involving V. People are also saying that the label has insulted V and his album and also his performances as well. And we have V taking legal action. So this is Dave Disci. Let's get into it. So there's been some updates on V taking legal action and what's going on with that. If you're not aware, it was rumored or at least reported on by several media sites that V and JK took legal action on the YouTuber Sojang. She was reported to have spread a lot of malicious things and made up topics about the BTS members, of course other artists as well, but we're talking about the BTS members today. A lot of these rumors were baseless and it seemed like it came from a place where she allegedly hated those members. So a lot of things that she alleged seemed like it came from a place where she was like, I don't like this member, plus this member does this and this, and then she also allegedly talked really badly about several other members of other groups by insulting their physical appearance and things like that. So when it came to lawsuits, it made it very easy for someone to say, oh, this is coming from a malicious place, and they made these videos with the intent to defame and attack. Now, if you don't fully remember, some people within the community brought it to V's attention on social media, and then V said that he would go ahead and move forward with legal action. For a long time, some people in the community were wondering what came of it because we didn't really hear of anything happening, and many people weren't aware if V had won or what the situation was. And it was actually believed that they ended up dropping the suit, and the reason why was because they didn't have enough evidence to pursue this. This is of course alleged. We don't actually really know what went on behind the scenes. It definitely makes sense that this could have been dropped because defamation cases are one of the hardest ones to prove. However, it was recently believed that the suit had resumed and that they actually won this time. And the channel was not only expected to be deleted, but she was expected to pay upwards of like $60,000 or something like that. Typically when you sue, I believe it's for the amount that they believe that she made off of these videos or these topics that she talked about, and then on top of that, this amount is like the amount that she caused in damages. Of course, this is just from my understanding. This can also not be true at all, but to me, making these videos and attacking someone for $60,000 is not worth it at all, because she probably had been doing this for like maybe a year or two, and then to be that hated for just this kind of median household US income is not even like a super rich income. It's not worth it in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna do something really bad, like at least make millions of dollars off of it. But jokes aside, it was believed that they continued their legal action and they had actually won, which was interesting. And this means that she was like likely very guilty and that she did commit those things that she was being accused of. One of the reasons why I bring this up is because there is new information that comes out about this case, and new shocking information has resulted in the community being shocked. So if you're not aware, the label currently is in court, and this means that all of the internal documents and practices and just all of the things that they do has to come to light if mentioned in court. If you're not aware of how the court process works, basically a witness will go up to the stand, they'll talk, and if they mention anything surrounding any specific part of an internal document in the label, the judge can then subpoena the label or any company to release that information to present it to the court because it was brought up by the witness. That's what I believe happened. There could be other weird things going on that I don't know about, but this is like the most normal thing that could happen. Now, someone revealed a document that allegedly talked about the label's relationship with the YouTuber. This, of course, becomes very controversial because the YouTuber was allegedly believed to be responsible for a lot of the backlash that the boys got, or a lot of the backlash specifically that V or JK got. So people were definitely wondering why the company had a relationship with the YouTuber, with the specific language in the alleged document saying that the company had subscribed to the YouTube channel. And I think that this language is very important to look into. I did a little bit of research and I couldn't find any specific evidence to support the label had a membership to this YouTube channel or was financially supporting this YouTube channel in any way. This specific language implies the label was just subscribed or just followed the channel. So similar to how you can just subscribe to this channel and just see every video that I post, but not actually want to support, it's like the same thing. Because it makes sense for a label or a social media team or a PR team to subscribe to these various gossip channels or tabloid channels just to keep a pulse on whatever one is saying about their client. Because once the PR team knows that there's a specific rumor going around or that there could be potentially a crisis going on, they can go ahead and figure out what to do. They can also tell the artist what to do going forward. You also have to keep in mind that different departments don't always talk to each other. So a PR team might not always converse with the legal team. So a PR section of the label could decide to subscribe to a bunch of these gossip channels, not out of love or support, but again, just to keep a pulse on these things without being aware if the legal team is taking legal action on the YouTube channel they just subscribed to. This is a very important thing to note because it's very important for a company to do this and to keep their hand on what is actually being said about their artists. People took it as an uproar. They took it as the label wanting to support this YouTube channel, even though this YouTube channel had allegedly been believed to have caused a lot of death threats. It was also believed at one point, since they were being sued for this large amount of money, that they go after the boys and they try to kill them because of the amount of money that they owed. And it's easier to think of it this way. It's the most obvious way to think of something, right? We equate a follow or a subscribe to support, but I can tell you firsthand that hitting a subscribe or a follow does not mean you always support that person, because I get a lot of people who hate me and subscribe. Pretty sure those people just wait for my videos to drop, hit dislike, and then just wait for my next one. But that's fine. A dislike is still engagement and actually still helps too. Of course, this situation, coupled with some other situations that have come out, make people think that the label has actually tried over and over again to sabotage the members, specifically sabotage V. Right now, due to just everything that I mentioned and so many other things that the community had jumped to conclusions to. People are asking the label to apologize to V, and I don't know how I feel about this specifically. I don't know if I think that this is the way to go about directing your anger. I think it's worth it to take a second to really calm down and really look into things or think about it before getting angry. And I really hope a lot of these people who do get angry go to therapy, and I say that in an honest way of love and care, because even if what you're thinking is true and the outrage is correct, it's still best to approach life in a way where you calm down first, look into things, do your research, and then react accordingly. Now, one thing that was getting a lot of backlash was this quote that someone mentioned concerning V's album. On the 28th of October, an internal document was released during the National Assembly, as the label was in court, and this specific sentence or quote that was being said was used as evidence towards this alleged sabotage of V. The quote said something along the lines of V and his album, I'm assuming Layover, and it's an album that can't really compete on stage or can't really compete during a music award show, specifically emphasizing that making a live video is probably the best way to go. We need to have a moment and really talk about what this could mean, because everyone's opinions are going to be different. And we cannot fault a label for having a specific opinion on the specific music and then having a specific marketing style to suit that music, even if they're wrong. What I gather from this sentence that was said was that the label had some idea of what they wanted to do. They were trying to come up with a strategy on how to promote this album. Can a label be wrong and be very wrong? Sure, that's totally possible. But they are at least attempting to do something here. This to me is not sabotage. Aside from what I can see from just hearing the album and the visuals and everything that came out from the album, was that V was going for a more indie feel. It was definitely a pop-ish album. It did sound like pop, but it wasn't like mainstream pop. And he was definitely going for a more indie kind of feel to it. At the end of the day, it would be an album that would be most commercially successful. Maybe not, but that wasn't the goal of the album, at least from what I heard. V could have easily made an album that sounded like bubblegum pop and sounded like every other song that was on the radio that hits a #1. But he chose a different sound that was very artistic and very cool. And at a certain point, you want a team that is going to be honest with that, or at least honest about how they feel about that. So them saying that this might not be a song that could compete on stage, while I might not agree with that, that at least tells me that they're looking into the style of music, they're honest, and they're looking into the possibilities of marketing it in a certain way, and they're doing that. That to me doesn't sound like sabotage. That to me sounds like effort. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Link to this little comment right here. Love you, bye.